In this demo, we're going to show you how to configure NSX-T, or at least the AVS version of NSX-T, to log into the NSX-T portal using domain controller credentials. This will enable you to assign roles to individuals based on their UPN instead of having to use the default identity provided in the AVS portal. This video leverages the certificate configuration we walked through in detail in the Configuring an External Identity Provider for AVS vCenter. Before we actually go to the NSX configuration page, we need to check two things, or make sure that we have two prerequisites in place. The first is check our computer certificates on the domain controller, right? DC1, this is my domain controller for the azfixit.ca domain. And we see here under personal certificates, we have a certificate that has server authentication, that its intended purpose is server authentication. So we're good on that front. Then the second thing we want to do is open up our browser, log into the Azure portal, and check our DNS settings for AVS. We're going to go to Azure VMware Solution, open up our private cloud, scroll down on the settings until we see DNS. And here you can see I've actually already created it because we set this up for the vCenter LDAP-S authentication. All we've done here is add a DNS zone. So in our case, that's azfixit.ca. If we're going to create another one, we just put it the FQDN zone, type in the zone name, the DNS server IP addresses, and source IP you can leave blank. Click cancel here because we've already done it. And then we're going to make sure that on the DNS service, we've actually tied azfixit to, if we edit this, you'll see we've got azfixit as the FQDN zone that we defined here in the DNS zones enabled as part of this service. Now we're ready to go to the actual NSX-T portal and configure the external identity provider. So we'll open another tab, type in HTTPS, and then the IP address of the NSX-T portal, which we get from the Azure portal. Right here, if we go to VMware credentials, you're going to see here's the NSX-T web URL portal address, and we're going to use the username admin and the password that's hidden. So we'll just copy this, go back to the new tab, press enter. Once the portal loads, we'll type in admin and we'll paste in that password we just copied. Now that we've logged in, we're going to click on System, and from System, we're going to choose Users and Roles, and we're going to go to LDAP, and we're going to add an identity source. In the name field, we're going to add the name of our identity source. So in this case, it's azfixit domain. In the FQDN, we can either enter the IP address or the domain name itself. So that'll be azfixit.ca. Active Directory over LDAP, correct. In the base DN, we're going to use the domain name and the domain suffix. So that'll be DC equals azfixit, comma, DC equals CA, right? And that's just the prefix and the suffix from the domain name itself here. Once we've done that, we can type in description. So this is source for NSX-T. Next, click on Set, add an LDAP server. So here you need to put in the FQDN dc1.azfixit.ca, because remember, it says hostname or IP, but LDAP-S does not support IP. It has to have the DC1 in the actual cert name. So if you want to just check if it's working, you can put in your bind identity first. In fact, you have to put in the bind identity first. So ftadmin at azfixit.ca and the password. And we can click on check status. Now I've left this at 389 for the moment, but we're just going to check that we actually get a connection successful. And now we can change this to LDAP-S. That'll flip this to 636. And if we redo this, it's going to prompt us with the cert that it's grabbing from the domain controllers. Click on accept, then click on add, then click on apply, and click on save. So we've now added an identity source. So all we have to do to finish up is go to user role assignments, click on Add, click on Assignment for LDAP. If you have multiple domains configured, we could choose the one we want, but in this case it's going to be azfixit. And here we're just going to type in the name of a user. So let's start with ftadmin. Here's the UPN, ftadmin at azfixit.ca. If this is blank, all that means is that the UPN hasn't been configured in Active Directory. So go fix that first, then come back and add the user. And then select the role. We're going to make the role Enterprise Admin and click on Save. And you'll get a green box at the top here saying has been added successfully. So now let's log out. And we're going to log back in again, but this time we're going to use ftadmin at azfixit.ca. And the password's going to be user account password. Click login. And we've now successfully logged into the NSX-T portal using our on-premises Active Directory. I hope you now see how easy this is to actually implement and how much value it would be to your end users and operations teams. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below.